Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the insurance demo session on smart underwriting, InsurTech Zelros demo. We hope you're having a very good Atos Tech Days, and I'm very pleased today to have Franck Coisnon and Vaibhav Raute with us from Atos. Today, they're going to take us through an introduction and an explanation on the topic, and they're also going to be able to provide us with a brief demo. Please feel free to use the Q&A function to post any questions that you may have during this 30-minute session, and we will most certainly take some time at the end to answer those questions for you. I'd like to now hand over to Franck, who will begin the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colleen, and good afternoon or good morning to all of you. It's a real pleasure to be live with you today. If you wanted to know more about underwriting transformation, you are definitely in the right place because we are going to cover this topic with you for the next 30 minutes. As we say, good solutions always start with a good understanding of the problems. And that's why we wanted to start by covering the main challenges that we see for the underwriting process. The first one, and maybe the most important, is the fact that the quality of the risk underwriting decisions need to be improved in a context of economic, of financial situation which is not good. You need to be able to really detect the bad risk, and also what you need to do is to recover the performance that is lost on the financial market at the moment. Another very important point is to improve the customer and the broker experience, because what you want to do at the moment is to really boost your business development. And if you can leverage automation of processes and also smart recommendation, then it's a very good way to achieve this objective. The last point is related to the learnings from the sanitary crisis. We saw that when you have a surge in requests, it's very important to have scalable processes, and this to avoid some bottlenecks in your underwriting expert teams. And this is especially true for the document management process, which is a process that is often very labor intensive. So basically, that's the context. So now, what is the solution that we have just to answer those challenges? So basically, the idea is to move from really standard underwriting process to smart underwriting, and we do that by leveraging AI capabilities, artificial intelligence. With our InsurTech partner, Zelros, we can improve and we can augment the underwriting process with 3 dimensions. The first one is that we can provide real-time, insurance-specific, and explainable AI recommendation. That's the most important point. The second one is about availing ready to deploy AI platform based on APIs in order really to speed up the time to market in order to implement those solutions. And the last point, it's about providing document processing modules in order to automate the information extraction. So basically, that's the type of solution that we are implementing in order to move from standard process to smart underwriting. So now, how this translates into reality? What you have here is a simplification of the current processes. So basically, you have 3 steps. The first step is about the collection of the information. Today, it's mostly manual, and the underwriter is collecting data from many data sources. So it's a quite long process. Then there is some part of automation based on business rules. So based on that, we can maybe make the assumptions that around 10% of the underwriting cases are automated today, which leaves us with 90% that are handled manually by the underwriter. Okay, so this situation is creating processes that are long, prone to error, and also you have a lot of dropout of clients because of the complexity of the process and the, let's say, the many interactions that you have between the broker, the customer, and the underwriter. So what is the target solution? The target solution, and this is exactly a simplified view of what you are going to see in the demo, is a situation where we are improving the process at 3 levels. The first one is for the collection of the information. With the document management tool, you are able to collect data from an array of sources that is much broader. Okay, so you're able to collect more data and you are spending less time to do that. Once you have this data, you can increase the level of automation, the underwriting cases that are handled completely automatically. We think based on our assumption that we can go up to 65% automation of the underwriting cases. Then you are left with 35% of the cases. And again here, thanks to a semi-supervised process with the AI, you can assist the underwriter with next best action. Okay. What is very important to know here is that the human and the underwriter is really keeping the hand on the process because he has the final decision. If he thinks that the decision recommended by the AI is not the best one, then he can just decline it, and then the information will be fed back to the algorithm in order to train the model. Okay, so it's a virtuous circle. So it is now time to see how this translates in reality. So I now hand over to Vaibhav, and before that, I will just share my screen. Can you see the screen, Vaibhav?
Yes, I can.
Give me 1 second, I will share that.
Okay, sure. And while we wait for that to start off, a very warm welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. What we are going to focus today is on the part of the demo which talks about the assisted mode. So, okay, so I see that Franck has started. Let me give you a quick introduction of what you will be seeing today. To be effective in today's dynamic insurance marketplace, the underwriter seeks faster speed, better risk analysis, and the power of data insights. Atos combines the strengths of our insurance business knowledge with the prowess of an agile AI engine Zelros to augment this insurance journey. Let's see some of this magic happening in the quote to bind journey. We will see 3 personas. First is of the customer who is seeking to buy home insurance. Second is an agent who is reviewing his quotes for submission to the insurance company. And the third persona is of an underwriter who is analyzing the quotes for risk selection. Let's see how AI and automation can positively impact each of these personas. The first persona is of a customer who is out there in the market and trying to look at favorable quotes for a decision. When the prospect is hunting for the best deal in the market, in addition to the brand name and the size of the company, a prospect will gravitate towards an insurer that helps him or her take an informed decision quickly. In our case here, Ms. Janet Evans is coming to the portal of ABC Insurance to buy home coverage. She starts the quote by entering her postal code. Then she enters certain basic set of details like her name, gender, date of birth, marital status, occupation, email, telephone number, etc. To be able to start the process. In addition, she also enters the address, the usage for which the house is used, any business reasons, and specific details like pets at home, smokers, number of people staying in the house, etc. Notice how the customer portal allows her to navigate through the data fields smoothly as she enters all her personal details. The rule of thumb here is to take in minimum information and use pre-fill options from publicly available sources to reduce the amount of information that the customer needs to enter. Ms. Evans then moves to the property information details, where she adds more details about the property, like the type of foundation, roof type, etc. The portal allows her to add or modify details and, if required, review the premium again based on the information that is provided. She can now save the quote for future updates or even email it to her for further records. After being satisfied with the quote summary, Ms. Janet submits the quote to the insurance company for binding. Now let us look at the second persona under whose bucket this quote arrives, and he is actually trying to evaluate the quote. As you would be aware, a lot of quotes that the agent evaluates are typically window shopping forays, without them translating into premiums for the insurance company and consequently commissions for the agent. Thus, it makes sense for the agent to separate the wheat from the chaff and focus on the serious quotes. An intelligent AI engine is able to calculate a customer seriousness score by evaluating the quality of inputs for typical fields like the date of birth, email ID, telephone number, etc., and look for non-consistent data inputs. The engine then combines this with the prospect's history of past quotes and then assigns a seriousness score. In our example here, the AI engine has evaluated all the data entered by Ms. Evans, and it has calculated a customer seriousness score of a mere 20%. The agent can also check the rationale for the decision by clicking on the plus sign below. So if you can see on the screen, Ms. Janet has entered her birth date as 1st of January 1980. Now, according to the US Census, the birth rate is highest in August-September and lowest during December-January. So it could be a random date entry. The email ID is not valid. The telephone number does not look valid as well. Now combine this with the fact that the prospect is quoted multiple times in the past 6 months, and we have a potential dummy case. The Zelros AI engine tags it with a low customer seriousness score. And it also provides an additional suggestion to the agent saying investing time may not be relevant. So then what are the benefits here? The agent reduces the workload on the underwriters by removing potential dummy quotes. Also, the agent's conversion ratio improves as a result of only the serious quotes getting submitted. Now let us look at the third persona, which is of an underwriter who is leveraging the power of AI to evaluate and price quotes accurately. This is a standard quote. Let's see how the underwriter can save some time and keep costs low by eliminating the need for inspection or additional documents. The intelligent AI engine is able to calculate a claim risk score based on claims history, data from public sources, and apply rules related to the house and surroundings. The rules can be related to geographical and weather conditions, combination of construction material used for the building of the exterior walls, the roof, the foundation, etc., historical claims with similar constructions, historical claims with similar geographical and weather conditions in that area, age of the dwelling, and so on. In our case here, Mr. Mark Wells has asked for a basic home insurance quote that has low risk characteristics. The AI engine has determined a low 11% claim risk score based on the inputs provided. If we look at the details of the rationale for this decision, the AI engine has provided inputs such as the property is situated within a 1,000-mile radius of the fire hydrant, the property is situated beyond 10 miles of the forest area, and the property is located in a low earthquake risk zone. These factors have contributed to the AI engine determining a low risk for this claim. In addition, the Zelros engine has also suggested that there is no need of additional documentation, and hence the proposal can be accepted on standard terms. These go as inputs to the underwriter to be able to finish his task faster. Now let us look at how the AI engine assists the underwriter with complex quotes, where there is actually a need for property inspection. While property inspections help get an accurate understanding of the condition of the dwelling and improve risk assignment, They can take up valuable time as well as inflates the costs of evaluating a proposal. Hence, it is important for the underwriter to identify cases where property inspections are an absolute must. The AI engine assists here beautifully. AI can identify hazard-free or low-hazard properties and not require a property inspection. If inspection is required, the AI engine can provide a list of potential hazards to assess during property inspections. The AI engine can help the underwriter with next best actions like exclusions, additional premium to be added, along with a detailed reasoning, and it can even help pitch additional coverages that the prospect could be potentially interested in. In our case here, Mr. Glenn Smith has submitted a proposal for home insurance, and there are many possible hazards on the property which will need a detailed inspection. The AI engine points out for the need of property inspection with a very high 85% score on the factor which says need for property inspection. The underwriter can even evaluate the rationale for this, as you can see on the screen shortly. That these observations are based on property details provided and our existing records, and the surveyor needs to pay specific attention to the below points. The property has a 5-year-old gable roof. Based on our records, the area where the property is located is frequented by heavy windstorms. Without adequate support, the roof might collapse. It is hence advisable that the surveyor check the roof for adequate support. The AI engine can look at a multitude of past claims and public sources to correctly identify such perils. The second point says that given the proximity of the property to the forest area, there is a 20% probability that tree root overgrowth might damage the foundation of the building. It is hence recommended that the surveyor checks for surrounding tree cover to rule out this hazard. The underwriter can then pass on these important pointers to the property surveyors for special attention. While this helps with a solid assessment, it can also avoid multiple inspections if these points were missed in the initial inspection and the underwriter discovers them later. Another AI intervention is where this same AI engine has determined a high 75% claim risk score based on the characteristics of this quote. It has been observed that the concerned property has been built within an area of 5 miles from the flood zone, the AI engine says. The second point, even though the prospect has no homeowners claim during the past 5 years, the analysis shows that there is a 65% probability of a claim arising during the next 2 years due to the foundation damage according to water seepage. So the AI engine has actually provided these insights, and it goes on to provide a recommendation too. It says, while accepting the risk, it is recommended to exclude damage due to perils related to water damage, sewerback, or water seeping through foundation. Alternatively, an additional 10% premium should be added to cover these risks if the underwriter really wants to provide the cover for that. So this is the level of intelligence that the AI engine can provide and help the underwriter to adjudicate the case. One more useful functionality of the AI engine is the ability to assign surveyors based on multiple ranking factors. The factors can be surveyor availability, rating, proximity to the property location, and so on. This feature allows easy allocation of the surveyor to the case. In our example here, the AI engine has suggested 3 surveyors and ranked them in the order of preference. The underwriter can just click on the checkbox next to the preferred surveyor and simply assign him or her to the case. The Documents to Insight feature of the Zelros AI engine is another interesting tool. It can help the underwriter decision with detailed analysis of inspection reports and recommendations. Let's see how it does that. Survey reports can run into a multitude of pages, and there may be different reports that the underwriter needs to review to arrive at an optimal risk estimate. AI can improve the quality of decision making with smart insights. The AI engine's Document to Insights technology helps summarizing property inspection reports and highlighting key indicators that have an impact on the decision. The underwriter can always zoom into the flag sections and investigate further. In our case here, the Zelros engine has analyzed the entire inspection report and identified areas of concern for Mr. Glenn Smith's case. It has moved beyond OCR and fetching data and interpreted the data as well based on keywords like repair, defect, cracks, broken, etc. If you could see on the screen, The analysis is that the roof condition is good, but there is some fading, sewage needs some attention, and repairs are needed for the window. The AI engine thus helps interpret the actual report and provide suggestion to the underwriter for further action without the underwriter having to go through pages and pages of data and trying to analyze. In cases where the underwriter actually wants to look at the report, he can always drill down further and go into the details. The AI engine has also provided suggestions for premium and measures to curb risk, as shown in the lower window on the right bottom. It says that I suggest Mr. Glensmith opts for an endorsement of sewage backup. I suggest to accept the proposal at 10% extra premium with additional requirements of swimming pool to be fenced and fire sprinklers to be installed. In conclusion, these are the kind of valuable data insights and intuitive AI suggestions the underwriter can evaluate and bind one of the most complex cases in a fraction of the time it takes him to do that manually. Also, it just improves his overall work experience. It's like he always has his AI buddy looking out for him over the shoulder. Thank you for your attention. I would now request Colleen to open up the floor for any questions that you may have related to this topic.
Thanks, Frank, and thanks, Vaibhav, for the presentation and the demos. Really, really interesting to see the way that AI is adding insight for the underwriter. So thanks for bringing that to life for us. We'd like to now take a little bit of time. I think we've got about 8 or 9 minutes in which we could answer just a few questions, if that's all right. So Vaibhav, the first one is coming over, I think, towards you. The question is, how does the AI engine liaise with external sources for data? And what sources can be connected? Could you share with us, please?
Yes, surely. So one of the good features of this engine is that it can scout the internet and try to look for various information sources and try to get relevant data. Now, what we need to understand is there are two types of sources. One are subscription-based sources and one are generic sources. So generic sources could be social media interactions, details of what the customer is doing on the web, etc. And subscription sources could be, sites that provide housing information, geographical information, and certain government promoted websites that provide details about flood zones, about environmental hazards, about earthquake zones, etc. So by adding connectors through the engine to these sources, the engine is able to collect data on a real-time basis and feed it to the underwriter without having the underwriter to go through these multiple sources, log in, use a username, password, and try to copy paste that data back into the case file. It just improves the speed of the underwriter because number one, he does not have to scout for the data. And number two, the data is all arranged in logical sequences so that the underwriter can just take a glance as though he has an assistant who has actually, crunched all the numbers and got all the data ready for him. So that's the power of the engine that, we've built over here. Colleen?
Thank you, Vaibhav. That was for this. So the question is, how does the AI engine work with the existing application landscape? Does it need to replace existing rating engines, or can it coexist with them?
So regarding this question, it's actually the AI platform is coming on top of the application, so it doesn't replace at all. The idea is really to augment the tools that are already in place, and actually it's very simple to integrate with the existing landscape. Why? Because the technology is based on API. Okay, so just have to grab the credentials regarding the API, and then the integration is very easy to do. It's exactly what we've done with the team for this demo.
Great. Thank you, Frank. Vaibhav, back to you. We've got a couple more questions coming through. One is quite a good question. Can AI replace the human underwriter?
Okay, that's an interesting one, and I think it's a debate that has been going on for some time now, with artificial intelligence actually impacting various sectors of the industry and our lives. What we have tried to do with this AI engine is try to codify a certain set of rules and try to teach the engine to suggest the best decision to take. But as Franck was alluding to earlier in his presentation, a bulk of the cases can be straight through processing, which means that they are based on standard rules, there are no additional perils, and they can be underwritten in a standard way. But the bulk of the complex cases, or when we look at underwriting for certain lines of business which are extremely high risk prone, for example, commercial lines, satellites, aviation, and ships and marine, etc., there you will definitely need the intelligence and the capabilities of a physical underwriter. Having said that, typically these processes and these codes used to take weeks or if not months to actually come up with a premium and the proposal going back to the customer. With the advent of AI and with the kind of suggestions that the AI engine can provide, the entire process has been streamlined to make the decision making faster. So it's like imagining a team of underwriters, a team of junior and senior underwriters sitting together and analyzing a case, but it's just one person who's actually able to do that, and hence the efficiencies increase. But to answer the question, personally, based on what I have seen in the insurance industry, I don't see AI completely replacing underwriters, because there will definitely be those complex cases and, those cognitive features that an underwriter can provide, that emotional side to, the decision making, which a computer can never replace. But it definitely can help to a lot of extent. Colleen?
Yes,
That's
and
great.
if I may
Thank
add
you.
on that, Vaibhav, I think the idea is really to augment the underwriter instead of replacing it.
Yep.
Okay, because the idea is really to remove the task value added done with to focus. That's really the logic.
Okay. I think we have time for one last quick one that's kind of building upon that and the insights that it provides to the underwriter. I guess the question is are all AI insights 100% accurate? And how much can that underwriter rely on them?
So actually, and we've seen that in the slides I shared at the beginning. What we say is that on the cases where we are really confident, we can basically really let the AI do the automation, and we can be kind of 100% automated. Okay, but there will still be a part that cannot be automated. So we cannot rely 100%. So on this part that cannot be fully automated, that's where we have a semi-supervised process. And what we are going to do is we are going to build a partnership between the underwriter and the AI assistant, where actually the underwriter will give feedback to the algorithm in order for the algorithm to improve. Okay, so as I said before, it will be a virtuous circle where with the more cases the algorithm will have, the better it will be in the future.
Great, that's really clear. Guys, there doesn't seem to be any more questions for us, so thank you to all of those who did ask questions. Franck, shall I hand back over to you for any final closing words?
Yes, thank you very much, Colleen. And we've shown you today, how it's possible to transform the underwriting process by using insurance-specific and easy-to-integrate AI platform. And we've shown you also that this can bring benefit in terms of quality of the risk underwriting, but also in terms of customer experience. So we hope that you enjoyed this session. The recording will be available right after the session on the platform. Okay, so you can look at it again if you feel. So on behalf of the team, thank you again, and looking forward to discussing this topic further with you later. Bye-bye.